What up, wherever you are in the universe? My name is Kaya Shivers. Welcome to Arc Republic. We are speaking with one of our mainstay guests and contributors, Brother Afrika, out of Newark, New Jersey. What up?
Hey, how you doing, sis?
I'm
Yo,
really
you know
good.
what? No. Bring that beat back.
We're
Bring
gonna do it again.
Hey, yo, how you doing, Dr. Kaya Shivers?
Yeah, y'all. He was in the pre-show. He was getting on me. Rarely do I say I'm Dr. Shivers, but I thank you humbly, for recognizing that. I want to be as accessible to the people as possible. But let's dig into this. We have much to talk about. And so I tap into you, Afrika, to talk about what's going on in Newark and this side of the country. I have Sharice in Louisiana and I have Dame out in LA. But there were two things that actually we've been back and forth on or been conversing about that I want to talk about that are so serious to me. The first one is in a post Black Lives Matter. I kind of giggle when I say post Black Lives Matter because we talked about this two and a half years ago. But now that all of these stories and allegations of either misappropriation of funds or unethical practices of the money that was donated to Black Lives Matter, there has been this scattering or this expose. It's been growing of people who call themselves activists and have supposedly represented the interest of the people. Right now, when this happened, I was like, where are all these people that were on the Grammy, with the red bottoms and and the Balenciagas or whatever? I don't know these things. I shop at Ross and Marshalls. So I don't know these things, but there was kind of like a disappearance. And now there's a resurgence after they were in Egypt and, putting it on Instagram and they were vacationing and doing these things. But you brought something to me, something that happened on the Billboard Awards that, what do you want to call this? Sean Combs, AKA Puffy, AKA P. Diddy, AKA Brother Love, AKA Love, announced that he crowned or knighted Tamika Mallory as now the new, what do you call this, head activist in charge. So we're going to have a conversation about, what that means, if it means anything at all. What are your thoughts?
Now, Malcolm, man, first of all, hey, how everybody doing? All power to the people.
And I forgot, he does have a podcast called All Power to the People. It's a YouTube channel. My bad, brother. And you can catch him on TikTok and IG when he's not in IG jail or Facebook jail.
I'm trying to find you wherever you at out there.
Yeah.
But all power to the people. I live for the people. I die for the people. See, that's just not a phrase to me. It is my purpose. Every day when I wake up, the first thing I think about is Black liberation. What am I going to do today to make that movement move forward? Mm-hmm. And on the 11th, a few days ago, I think last week, I saw something that came out. Jay-Z's Rock Nation convened social justice summit to drive action amid midterms. Biden been in office almost 2 years now, and people out here losing their homes, losing everything. You can't even fill up your gas tank. You can't. It's hard. It's hard to even go to work because I'm catching myself having to think, like, is it worth it for me to drive the car to go to work or just stay home? Because on the daily trip, I spend probably $40 on gas. So, like, what's the point of me going to work if I'm only making like 100 and something, like 100? Like, is that job is it even worth it?
And that's before taxes.
That's before taxes. Mm-hmm. Student loans, nothing about Biden, no health care, inflation, nothing about police, and on and on and on. So right now, any political philosophy student, professor, anybody that you speak to is going to tell you the Democrats they're heading for a hell of a time in the midterms. Like, I don't see no way, there's no strategy. I can't see nothing they can do because COVID is over. Like, they can bring COVID back. I don't think COVID is going to do it. People are not going to listen this time. And like, I'm thinking, what are they going to do to be able to get voters out? And then I see this Rock Nation thing come out. And when I saw it come out, 3 days later, I see Puffy at the Billboard Awards talking about Tamika Mallory is the savior for Black people. She's out here fighting for Black people, for social justice. And I think about all the people that I know out here on the streets, the people that be working at the food pantries, people helping people get back into their apartments, people helping people out here just to survive. I mean, because like when you see on Wednesday, when we give out food at 309 South Orange Avenue in North, when you see people going to go standing on line to get the food, like there's no shame. People used to be like, nah, I'm not going over there to get no food. But where we're at as a community, even I be putting food in my trunk to bring it home to feed my family. Like I'm telling them out there, like, look, this is like, you see me carrying the food. Don't be ashamed. And we see none of these people. We don't see Tamika Mallory. There's no Jay-Z. None of these people are on the front line out here on the pavement doing anything for anyone in the community. And our voices go unheard because we don't have platforms. We don't have a Puffy comb to bring us on the billboards to tell everybody, look what they're doing. They're trying to build co-ops. They're trying to build spaces in their community where they could educate their own children. They're giving out food in the morning. They're serving breakfast to the children. Like we need to fund these things. We need to help them fund co-ops to buy back their community. We need to do all these things that are tangible, things that people can reach out and touch that will make their lives better. Instead, he bring out Tamika Mallory. And he says this, like we should donate money. We should fund her campaign and like support what she's doing. What is she doing? What are these people doing for the community? I'm gonna tell you exactly what they're doing because I listened to her. I listened to Tamika Mallory speak. Because like I can be in the same space that she's in. We can occupy the same space because they have security. And where they go, I am not allowed in there because what I have to say is different from the propaganda that they want to push. So there's no space that I will ever be in for me to speak to Tamika Mallory. So I gotta wait till she do things like do an Instagram live or whatever, Facebook live, or she's somewhere where she's speaking out to the people. Then I could intervene and say something. So I go on her Facebook live and I ask her, "What's your political philosophy?"
On the George Soros thing. So a number of people, I appreciate you too, and I love you so much, Katora, I do, and you know it, I tell you all the time. A number of individuals have said, that I know very well, this thing goes out. A number of people have said, a number of individuals have applied for and have received grants from the George Soros Foundation. Now, let's just be clear about some things, okay? Because this is really, really important. First of all, there's a man who was, I think he still may be, Linda, you could correct me if I'm wrong, the president of the George Soros Foundation. His name is Patrick Gaspard. Okay. I worked with Patrick Gaspard in labor. I worked with him when he worked for the White House and a number of other opportunities and spaces. I mean, yeah, Open Society Foundation. Open Society Foundation. That's right. If I was wrong, I think I said something totally different. So.
Yeah, she get money from George Soros, and they come in the community and they get people like Erica Ford. Erica Ford is an activist in New York, and they give them the money, and then they build up centers where they say they're doing stuff for community violence outreach. So what they do there is they do gun buybacks. So they go to the community and they tell the community, hey, look, come bring your guns, no questions. You give us your guns, and we're going to give you money, because they know that people are poor. Unemployment is through the roof. There are no jobs out here. People can afford to stay in their houses. So people bring their guns to them. But these people have relationships with the police department. They work with the police, often in the same building as the police. So when anything happens in the hood, they go ask these people, who are the people that bring the guns? Who are the people that you're talking to on the streets? They tell the police who they're talking to. They tell the police about these people. And these people get arrested, go back to jail, and the circle continues itself. But like Tamika Mallory would tell me that I took millions of George Soros and I put that community center in the community. That is not for the community. The community never asked for that. The community said they want jobs. They want to be able to afford the rent. They want to be able to buy homes. The community said they want better schools. They want to control their schools. They never asked you to put a snitching factory in their community, but you put snitching factories in there. You paint the street and you do little yoga classes and you do some dance routines. Like that's what Black Lives Matter do. They do dance routines and they say like, while the kids are dancing, they're not out there committing crimes. This is the rhetoric that come out of these people's mouths. And they say all of these things because they have nothing else to say. There's nothing else they have to that's tangible that they have to offer the community to alleviate the suffering that they're going through. So they throw out all these old ideas that have never worked. I mean, when you bring those snitching factories into the community, it never stopped gun violence. How do I know? The violence is still here. We're still living in the shit right now. Nothing has changed for the last 30, 40 years. We're still living under the same conditions despite everything that they've done. But when you listen to them, they're telling you, like, I get this money from the same corporations, the same oligarchs that are oppressing the community to do work for the community. It's contradictory. It makes no sense. So
and let me add this. You brought that up years ago. I want to say this is 2002. This actually it was the Vote or Die campaign that Diddy put out.
Yeah.
And it was a campaign that was designed to get more people in hip hop to activate or motivate their communities to get out and be more active in voting. And actually, I wrote a piece about that sparked me doing more commentary. And my critique then is my same critique now, is you have not adequately answered in terms of not Diddy, but the government or the system has not adequately answered the demands that Black people had been saying way before we have, our parents and our grandparents. And so how do you, as being part of a sector, this is 20 years ago. Now we know 20 years later, that the artists that came out of the Diddy camp are either broke, dead, disfigured. I mean, that's pretty much of the three categories.
Kicked out of the country, shot out of the country.
Right, but he has some kind of diplomatic thing where he could come back, right? He's brokered some type of weird deal or something like that.
Rich people rich people.
Right, so I mean, but majority, that is the majority of the people. But then it was like, you are part of a culture or a subculture, whatever you want to call it, that totally pushes against the system and rejects the system and the authority. We are the generation that comes after Black Power, civil rights and Black Power. Our parents thinking that we're going to inherit something from all the things that they did, the deaths and the arrests and the blood. And my father was kicked out 3 months before he graduated from Southern University, blacklisted. So my parents thinking we did the work. Now what you do is inherit the spoils, and we didn't receive that. So how can you demand us to participate in a system the way you see? And you're coming supposedly from this angle of resistance, or this area supposedly of resistance. It's a contradiction. But what has happened since then has been these variations of vote or die initiatives specifically to urban territories. Do you see them going into white communities saying something like vote or die? I mean, that is such a sadistic, in the campaign, it's sadistic. And the thing is, people did vote and we still dying. We perhaps even dying even more. And as a matter of fact, the death of Black men specifically, but not exclusively, is the politics in which a lot of the democratic type of elections and this emotional pull that they put on our communities are using or harnessing in order to get people to move out of fear. That is such, in my opinion, a slave plantation mentality of getting people to do stuff out of fear, right? But
where they've been, since Biden has been in office, where Jay-Z been?
Mhm.
Where's Tamika Mallory? Where have these people been? They've been nowhere since Biden have won because they have nothing to say. There's nothing they can say. What you going to say about the criminal justice reform? There's nothing. There's nothing tangible that this man, this racist, Biden is a white supremacist. He has the history. He has the legacy. What's a white supremacist? Like, I don't want to just throw out words and like we don't define them.
Right. Yeah. I was about to say you need to break it on down and explain how you can work with Black people, but still feed this monster, right?
White supremacy, all of this is about power. It's about who controls the power. That's all white supremacy really is.
Mm-hmm.
They have the power. They control all the institutions. America is a racist nation. It's a white supremacist nation. That is not an opinion. That's not a guess. That is a scientific fact. And even if when you speak to Biden, you speak to all these politicians, they would agree that America is racist. I don't know. They may call it something else. Like they may say like there's still some racist vestiges that we must remove. But by and large, they understand that America is racist. All their institutions basically work by color. They don't work like as a Black person. I am not treated fairly in all American institutions, schools, whatever institutions you want to name, on the content of my character. I am treated first, the color of my skin, then my class. That is how I'm treated as an American in the United States of America, all of us. So when you're at the head of institutions, because you're the president, you're the face of every single institutions in America, and the institutions are racist and white supremacists. You cannot tell me you're not a racist or white supremacist, because being one is supporting these institutions. That's the definition of a white supremacist, a racist or white supremacist. That is the definition. You support them because these institutions benefit and work off our suffering. So like when a Black person says like, I can be a white supremacist, and that argument I used to make that argument. But if you work for these institutions and you support them, you are a white supremacist. I don't care if you look like me. Your color doesn't stop you from being a white supremacist because you support this system and you work for it to oppress me. So you're part of it. I don't care what you call yourself. And Biden since the 70s has pushed policies that are racist and are white supremacists, have bills on the books that are racist and white supremacists. So I cannot ignore all of that and say Biden is not a racist or white supremacist. He is. The entire government is racist and white supremacist. Now that's different from being a bigot, from like me as an individual. And I think all Black people are the best people on the planet. That's bigotry. I have no power to control anybody's life or control their daily ability to move through the social ladder or anything. I don't have that power. So I am a bigot. But once I work for these institutions and they're racist and they're using these racist practices to hold people back, I am a white supremacist. I am a racist too. I am with them. Now, this is what Afrika is saying. I mean, because this is the definition of white supremacy, like using whiteness to be able to dictate how people navigate through the system, through every single institution, not just one, not just two. I dare anybody to name an institution. That's not me. That is me. I dare anybody to name an institution in America. I dare you. Real talk, I cash app you $100. I dare you to name an institution in the United States government that is not racist or white supremacist. Nobody can.
And that's what I mean. Yeah, it's so important that you bring up the points that we live the United States. It codified a racial hierarchy, is what you're saying. And so through that racial hierarchy is how things are valued, judged, measured, compensated, devalued, so on and so forth. I have a question though, in particular, and how Tamika Mallory is part of you're saying Tamika Mallory is part of is an activist who is
she's not an activist.
Sorry. Okay. I'm just hold on for a minute. Is in the bed with somebody who essentially kind of is the figurehead of white supremacy. So my question being is that, okay, you're saying that Tamika Mallory is not an activist. What is she to you?
Gotcha. Hey, Malcolm said it in the 60s and 70s, man. He said, like, these white people bring out these people and they put them in front of us to act like they're leaders, like they're helping the community. But these people are not leaders. These people are clowns. They're entertainers. They're frauds.
Is an activist always a leader? What I would say that there could be two differences.
Activist towards what? If you're fighting for social justice, what I'm saying, you're an activist for what? Because she's an activist for social justice. Mm-hmm. If you ask Tamika Mallory, what do you do? She'll tell you she's an activist for social justice.
Okay.
I don't think she'll say Black liberation.
Right.
But nothing she's doing brings about social justice. Mm-hmm. It does the opposite. So you cannot call yourself an activist. There are people that are out there on the streets trying to help people, trying to work for people for no pay. Nobody's paying them. They're not on Puffy's platform. They're not being platformed by Jay-Z, by Al Sharpton, by all the people that are put her in position to be able to speak to the people and misguide them and mislead them to supporting people that will harm them, that will write policies that will harm them on a daily. Biden and the United States government, the Congress, the Senate, because remember, we control the House, we control the Senate, and we control the White House. Mm-hmm. All these people just sent $40 billion to Ukraine to go fight a war in Ukraine, and people don't have clean drinking water. People don't have, so what are you sheepdogging? What are you getting our people to go vote for these same politicians for? Why? Right. Why are you? Go ahead.
And I think you eloquently define white supremacists. I think it's also important for you to define what an activist is, because I think people don't even know what it is. I you know what I mean? Because I have my definition, but I'll be interested to hear what yours is.
You fight, like, it depends on the cause. You could be an activist for whatever cause you want to be. So I'm an activist for Black liberation. Like, that's my number one goal. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I think about is Black liberation. What can I do to change the condition of my people on this planet? So I am an activist towards that cause. So, like, you could go to school, you could be out on the front lines, you could be doing media, you could do, but whatever you're doing, if it's towards the liberation of our people, then you're an activist. You don't have to be out there fighting with the police. You could be writing books, getting the information out. There's a lot of ways to be an activist, but you could also be an activist for let's say women's rights. You're out there fighting for women's rights. You could be out there for handicapped people. You could be, it's a lot of different stratified issues. And I have a problem with that too. I have a problem with all those stratified issues because they all derive from the same place. We're all suffering under the same umbrella. So I kind of have a problem with people sectioning themselves off to like different, but it is what it is. You can't force nobody to do what they don't want to do. It's like when they're ready, they'll get there. So like me, like I say, like I fight for the liberation of Black people, Black nationalism. What does that mean to me? It means all the people that live in the community I live in the Black communities I live in, they should be able to control the economic system, the means of production in their community. Foreigners or people from outside the community shouldn't be able to come in and manipulate the environment and buy up everything and exploit us, the taxpayers that live in that space. So I'm Black. I'm not white. I'm not none of that. I'm not Spanish. I'm not this. I am a Black man. So I am a Black nationalist, and I believe we should control the resources in our community. But there may be a Spanish person that live here. So because wanting to control the economics in my space, and I share that with them, they're in that space, I can see myself being a socialist. I can see myself being a Marxist. I see no contradiction in any of that. All of it deals with dialectic materialism, basically using evidence and science to understand how society works the way it does. So I can see myself as a go ahead.
So everything you're saying is good. This is a possible response. So even though you disagree with Mallory being an activist, she has a record of doing things. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because there are people sitting back. Well, I've seen Tamika Mallory protest. She went on the lawn of somebody, and she worked for the sister, I forgot, in Alabama. There was a sister in the Waffle House in Alabama that got arrested, detained, and like really, her top flew off. So she did that. And she's been, when the George Floyd protest came up, she did this, emotionally rousing speech. She's been a part of the Women's March, which she actually had to leave because of she and I forgot the other sister, Sassour, I think her name is, because of the internal. So she has skin in this activist space.
Gotcha.
Why cannot she be respected for that?
Gotcha. How do I put this? What she does is called sheepdogging. She comes into the space, a vacuum that has been created, and she comes in that space and she offers solutions and strategies that she knows won't work. But the people are desperate for something. So she directs their attention towards strategies that will never work, failed strategies. But most of the people listening they really don't know. They don't understand how these things work. So they listen to it because it sounds good. I think she's a communications major. I think she got a degree in communication. And she says, is it communication? It's one of them. It's some along those fields. But she says these things to people that sound good. But if you're a scientist, if you use dialectic materialism, you understand what she's saying will never work. And it's a lie. And it is not to help anybody in these communities in which the evidence proves. Like you said, she was part of the Women's March. They're about to do away with Roe v. Wade. You're part of the Women's March. You're fighting for women. You have the platform to be able to reach everybody and anybody, every woman in fucking America. Excuse me. You
can totally curse on this. Don't worry about that.
You have the platform to do that. And what did you tell these people to do when you went out there and marched? All these people that you mobilized as part of the Women's March, what did you tell them? To go vote for Democrats, to go vote for these politicians. You didn't tell them that you need to walk away from these institutions because these institutions are racist and they're patriotic. And no matter what you do, they're coming for you. These people don't care about you. Sister, you need to walk away from them. We need to find other ways to take care of ourselves because these institutions are only powerful by the power we give them, by participating in them. That's how they have their power. If you don't go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm listening. If you don't go, I'm listening. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If you don't go vote for these people, you don't support these people, they have no power.
Mm-hmm. That's actually, I forgot. I mean, I was just talking about Roe v. Wade. That's a good point. I think for me, what made me, there always, so there started to be you always want to look, people say that they've been, doing work and they've been on the ground for however many years they say they've been on the ground. I don't know because, their work might be hyper local or whatever the case might be. But what made me do this to her, like for real, to the point that I fell out of my chair was this last year? Was this last year she was on the Grammys?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, last year when she was on the Grammys and she did this thing with DaBaby, who is having a whole bunch of legal issues right now.
Yeah.
So she did this thing with DaBaby, and one of the mothers, Samira Rice, the young 13-year-old or 12-year-old who got shot and killed by the police in Ohio, critiqued her online and said that she is one of a collective of people who use basically the deaths of a lot of these Black boys and men as a way to catapult themselves for profit, power, and also celebrity. A very valid critique. One, it was a very valid critique, but then two, it is from somebody who lost their son. So the emotionality of it was absolutely valid. And the response, one, she didn't respond immediately, but from what I saw, because I had to push away, was she using her, I would say, what is this, activist celebrity, I call them corporate activist network, to say catchphrases like something like informants or enemies or disruptors or agitators, or these are words that are used to say that there's somebody who works for the government is using that to disrupt legitimate political movement. That was so disturbing to me, Afrika. It was so foul. And the people that I saw pushing this narrative are the people who have gotten millions of dollars over, and have also been called out for their scams, or for being scammers, or not using the money that was routed to them. And all they do all day, Sean King, is blast dead Black bodies on their social media timelines. So for me, that was the moment where I said, nah, I can't bang with you for real, at all. And so go ahead.
Yo, like that was perfect. Tamir Rice's mother was just a normal person. She's just a normal.
I said Samira. I'm sorry. Her name is Samira, but it's Tamir is the son. I'm so sorry. Yo, sorry, Miss Rice.
Hey, Miss Rice ain't upset. She understand. But Miss Rice was a normal person, just a normal taxpayer working, trying to survive out here, take care of kids. When that happened, it forced her to look into herself and to look into society and see why this would happen. So she started working to build a foundation for her son, to build an institution. This is different level part of organizing. Because like when you start organizing to get to the level where you understand institutions must be built to keep the memory of what has happened in place, so generations that come after that can know what happened. Like you don't just pick that up out of nowhere. So you like, I can see, I don't need to speak to her. I never met her, I never talked to her, but I saw her growth as a person. And she was out there fighting, trying to put this foundation, this institution in place in her community. While Tamika Mallory was on the Grammys, she's a millionaire now, getting money from George Soros and all
Cadillac. You remember she was on a Cadillac commercial?
All the spaces. And still our babies are getting murdered on a daily basis. Nothing has changed. You ask me why she's not an activist, and I said it already, I'm gonna say it again. The solutions that they offer are to maintain the status quo. And Miss Rice was so bold and strong, because usually people don't want to come out against these people because they'll attack you. They come after you. They come after you in a whole bunch of different ways. But she came out and she said her piece. And I'm happy she said it, because for her saying it is different than me saying it. Me or other activists on the streets that have no platform. And she came out, she put them on blast. She talked about Sean King, my son, Tamika Mallory. She talked about all the Black gatekeepers. And you see them now in Buffalo. These are all the same people that are going to be in Buffalo. They go from one event to another. They was here in New Jersey a few months ago, bankrupt, for the kid at the mall that the police grabbed up and roughed up at the mall when he got into an altercation with another kid
or something. Yeah. I don't know what his full name is, but yeah.
Trump was here. He called the family up, became their lawyer, and we met him out there. And we told him to leave. We don't want you in our state. We don't want you here. Whatever communities people go to, the activists in those communities need to chase them out. We have to draw a line on the ground right now on where we at, because you can't go nowhere. You can't go shopping without getting shot. You can't go get iced tea. You can't go to the corner store. There's nothing you can do in this country and feel safe that somebody won't come in and kill you just because you're Black.
And let me say this to add insult to Ms. Rice's grief is, I've heard on a number of occasions Tamika talking about being the mother of a son, and having a son, being a mother and having a son. And I said, and I am the mother to a son, you know what I'm saying? So to at the very basic level to appeal to that mothering aspect. It's very disturbing for me. That was very disturbing. And the woman's name escapes me, but there was a call because Miss Rice does not do a lot of interviews. She chooses who she wants to speak to. And I'm glad you mentioned the fact that these are just people living their everyday lives, and their lives get totally topsy-turvy. And so, what she said was something like they swoop in. You don't even have enough time to drop all your tears. And I've heard this from multiple people, right? Like these, they're I don't know what a good term is, but it's kind of like emergency crises,
ambulance chasers,
fixers, or something like that come in, and they give you all these directives, and they're so forceful. And you have all these emotions, you just, shake your head, or you don't do anything at all. And on top of that, we've said this too, when you do not agree with what it is that they say or do, then not only do they dismiss you, but it seems as if your case and the public publicizing it gets undermined somehow, right? Because I clearly remember it was this, is it Gurley? This New York brother who was killed by the police. I think the last name was Gurley or Curley. They were a West Indian family, and they were like, "We don't want you here." Haven't heard about that case
ever
since.
Never. We don't even remember his name no more.
Don't even remember the brother's name. And then just to add, and it's not just Tamika Mallory, right? I think often, in these conversations, the few women that are present are kind of like bearing the brunt, but there are a lot of men.
Jay-Z, what you call it? Van Jones, what's his name? The academic guy, man. I don't remember.
Michael Eric Dyson,
Al Sharpton, what's his name? Sean King. You could go down the list. All Democrats and all Black Democrats and Republicans, all of them, all these people, you could throw them all in a bag. All of them are against our people. All these people. It's not just Tamika. Like it's a list of them. It's a whole society, man. It's a class of these people that they are paid. Like the article I was reading you when we first started is from ABC. They have control of these media outlets. So when they walk into your home and they tell you, if you don't go with us, we're taking away ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, Hot 97, 105. All these people are not going to be there to amplify your voice. You're sitting there stuck. Like, what should I do? Should I turn my back on them and don't get nothing and don't fight for justice for my child? Or do I go with them and nod my head to what they're saying? They put people in a compromising situation. It's a false, what you call it? Whatever, man. But what they're doing,
false narrative, or I don't know, or false positive. I don't know. Some bullshit.
The whole thing is false. Word up. So they put you in that predicament and you're stuck. And people out here like they feel like they're in a corner and they have to stand with these people. But at the end of the day, they give you a paycheck. They close the book on that. And then the next day, it's my son. It's your son. It's your daughter. It's one of us. And we can't keep doing this. We cannot keep doing this from one generation to another. I watched this my whole life from Abner Louima all the way to now. And it's the same thing over and over and over. And we need to challenge these people. Like I said a couple of things on here. In these communities, like Newark, New Jersey, with the worst, I think they say that is the worst economically in America, Newark, New Jersey. In these cities, co-ops need to be set up where the residents are owning these businesses, these industries in these communities. If you're an activist and you're saying you're fighting for the people on the streets, you need to start making them owners of these communities. Not you that come in as an activist saying you're coming in to come help. You don't need to own nothing. You shouldn't be owning no buildings. You should be owning nothing. The people should be empowered. Their schools, they want their schools to stop teaching this white supremacy curriculum, poisoning their water. They want their schools fixed. You go in there and you fix their school to teach them Afrocentric things that to know who they are, to be able to understand the battles that they got to face in this world. Mm-hmm. People are complaining about concrete things. Nobody asks you for voting, what you call it? What the fuck they call it? A voting what? What the fuck they call it when you register to vote? Ain't nobody asks you to register to vote. Nobody say like, yo, I have problem voting. My problem is I can't vote. I've never heard nobody in North say that shit. But
well, at least within the last 60 years, perhaps, yeah, right? Yeah. So, I mean, let me say this. I think you brought up a really good point. I think for me, being an activist and being a leader are two different things. Mm-hmm. They can occupy the same space, but an activist, a person who is an activist, mm-hmm. in my opinion, is somebody that is committed to stimulating the community to do something about their conditions. Right. And giving them organizing tools or whatever it is, whatever resource they bring in order to get the collective to move. Right. Yeah. And that could be in many ways. There are people who are like introverts, don't like to be in the back, who are activists. Right. So there's like you said, there's a gradation. Being a leader, however, is to me is something else. You do answer. You must answer to a collective. And when a leader and an activist occupy the same space, if you're activating the people, and like you said, the people have not even talking about voting, why are then you using all of this energy and popularity that you harnessed to provide this agenda that they don't even want, they don't need? And what you said right now, people are struggling. I live in Philly, yo. Driving through Philly is like an apocalypse in some of the places.
I know.
Voting is the last thing on people's mind. People have no food. People are homeless. You got heroin addicts everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and all the other you have abandoned car. I've never been in a city where you drive by, you can see a car smoked out. It was like I was in Nigeria when I was in Nigeria in 2001. I drive by, it's a car on fire. That's the same thing when I was in I forgot Shurulere in Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, you know, here when I start to study, that means I have so much to say, but I wanted to add that, which makes me very, not only what you because I didn't watch the billboards. I used to be an entertainment attorney, an entertainment journalist. When the Los Angeles Sentinel fired me, thank you, Jennifer. When the Los Angeles Sentinel fired me, I left the entertainment world exactly where it was, in them hills of Hollywood. I am from LA. I'm south of the 10. Meet me in the hood. I'm 5 minutes from Compton. But anyway, sorry about that. I deviated.
Nah, you could.
So anyway, when you told me that that Sean Combs, I was like, how is this? How is this guy? Okay, you could if you want to entertain and, you know, dance and jiggle or whatever it is you do, okay, that's fine. But it's another thing, you know, where you are so emboldened after a plethora of accusations about your improprieties and a whole bunch of other things that haven't been proven, but people are looking at you side eye, you know, can come. We'll then bring Travis Scott up there, right? Who he said, and then like he said, I'm uncanceling cancel, you know, culture, you know. So that is very disturbing, and for me to
what canceling culture? Yo, we have no power to cancel nobody. Yo,
word.
Yo, real talk, like I wanted to cancel George Bush. Yo, I wanted to cancel Obama. I wanted to cancel Trump. Yo, we have no ability to cancel anybody. So when they come up there and they say that those are Republican, those are conservative talking points that they use, they're the only ones that cancel. Remember,
right? Yeah,
didn't they cancel you from that job?
Which one?
The one that you say, thanks, Jennifer.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did you cancel them?
Straight no word. I wanted to sue them, but you know who told me not to sue them? Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran. But it was sage advice. And his whole thing was, you'll be stuck in so much litigation. It's more of a headache for you to stay and fight than just walk away. You walk into something mad better. I was talking about Mr. Cochran, you know, who was good friends with Geronimo G. Jaga Pratt.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other, you know, that's a whole other story. But But yeah. I
but
couldn't cancel them. And they some
no, but
old.
that's deep. That's deep. No, because said like, we go through the same stuff here on a daily basis with the police, with the teacher, just and like the lawyers are saying, like, it's better just not to go through the hassle. No, because all of these things take money. It takes money and time. And we don't have that money and time and ability to be able to cancel these people. They have all the power. And then you hear somebody like Travis Scott say, like, what he say? He's taking away the canceling ability.
Diddy said, because all of this is all reports, you never know what happened, right? Yeah. But Diddy, it's some report that said that Love told that the Billboard people, if I'm not performing unless Travis Scott is part of the show. And so when people asked him about, this is Love, right, Diddy, about it, he said, well, I'm uncanceling cancel culture or something like that. I might be totally out of context, but he said, I am uncanceling cancel culture. Yeah. So, I mean, this is,
you know what? Yeah, like we
I know, let's breathe. Okay, let's get back into it.
Now, we're not gonna say it forever, because I want to talk about the housing crisis too. What's going on around?
Correct. Yeah, we're going to talk about this, but I think it's so important that we have these type of conversations, because there are younger people before us, and there are even older people who can't. Oh, the younger people are going to come after us, and there are older people who came before us that need to have a more critical eye in understanding the politics at play that go into this activist space. Because as soon as one or two of a scandal pops up and the activist goes, there's going to be 50 more that try to fill or occupy whatever the space is, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and I don't care what you say, Ben Crump ain't no Johnny Cochran. I'm gonna keep it 100. Johnny Cochran represented Geronimo G. Jaga Pratt from the Black Panther Party for 27 years for free. Mr. Cochran told me out of his mouth, it was representing G. Jaga, the ancestor now, that he realized that his whole office was bugged. Wow. He was like, everything, his car was bugged, his office was bugged, because he and his team, but more so because he didn't have a team, did not understand how the prosecution knew all of their moves. And then is when he found out, all of his stuff, that everything was bugged, but in between his buttocks. So it was I was floored at the conversation. And I don't think that Mr. Cochran could have that conversation with everybody. Yeah. But I don't want to, but I think it's important that we earmark these things, because people are so disillusioned with the Black Lives Matter ish that has come out, in terms of, I mean, it's not illegal, but it is wholly unethical. And it's totally, if you want to talk about anti-Black movement, there you go. You're going to give over, I mean, it came out like she gave almost $1 million to her baby daddy, Patrice Cullors. I mean, yeah. I was like, what did he do? First of all, I didn't even know she had a kid, but okay. Anyway, that's deviating. Last thoughts on, this idea of who's being crowned as the new activist / leader. It's on you.
Got you. Now, if we want to change our conditions on the streets, the things that we are dealing with, we need a clear and precise strategy to follow as a people. A clear and precise strategy. We got to know where it's coming from. What is your philosophy? Because we can't follow people that are leading us back to the same place where we were at 50, 60 years ago. And it is nothing personal, because I don't know any of these individuals, even Tamika. I don't know her personally. All I know is what you've done, what you claim to be doing, and what. But anyway, that's all I know about you. And from what I see, it's not adding up. It is nothing our ancestors told us to do. So I'm questioning it. And when you see the video that I'll send you, you're gonna see her. She said nobody can question her. She do what she want to do. We don't control her. And she's right, because we don't control her. We don't have any power over her. George Soros, Diddy, the Billboards, the Grammys, Cadillac, These are the people that they listen to. They don't listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day is we have to challenge these people. The time for us is just sitting in the back, not being heard, and letting these people lead our people down the same path. Those days got to be over. I'm challenging everybody that's out there. If you care, if you heard what happened in Buffalo and it really touched you and like you couldn't sleep that night, yo, you owe it to yourself to study up, to read up. Yo, do me a favor. I want you to read Black Jacobins by
an excellent book
by C.L.R.
James. All right.
Everything that I'm talking about right now with these people, they're in that book from the 1700s. They're in that book. Tamika Mallory's in that book. My son, Sean King, all these people are in that book. And there's a section in the book where he explains to you what Toussaint Louverture understood. You can negotiate with these people. You can negotiate with these oligarchs. There's no crime that they won't commit to hold power over you. And once you start reading these books and you start seeing how what they were talking about in the 1700s in Haiti is what you're going through right now in Compton, in Newark, in St. Louis, in Minnesota, wherever you at, in Buffalo, and you see the correlation, you're going to look at Tamika Mallory and ask her, girl, what you talking about?
Let's embark on the Ark Republic to hear current news that's published. More than gossip and chatter, covering current affairs that matter. We talk issues with professional views, all keeping you in queue. We wanted a higher vibe for these days and times, to free the voices and minds, reporting the sign of the times, so all can build. Let's shine, yeah.